Hello everyone, this is Reza Dorrani. Today's video is a step-by-step tutorial on building a navigation menu component for PowerApps. We will build the two-level navigation menu component from scratch and make it configurable by adding input properties. So let's get started with the video, but first, my introduction. In the Maker portal here in PowerApps, we have a left-hand navigation menu for PowerApps itself that I would try and mimic as part of this demo. This left-hand navigation here is a two-level navigation menu. So to begin with creating a component, my recommendation is you start building your components in component libraries purely because any components that you build in a component library can be published and used across all the apps in the environment in which this component library has been built. So for this use case, I will create a brand new component library. I will give this library a name and click create. And this now will create a component library and straight away take me to the component section wherein we can start building our component. A component library is very similar to an app. It also has screens. The reason you have screens here is so that you can test your components in the component library itself before you publish your component library. Now we want to build the left-hand navigation menu. So I will head over to components and first thing, rename my component. So I've gone ahead and renamed my component. Now to begin with, I'm going to first insert a very simple icon, which is the hamburger menu icon. I'm going to place it on the top left. I will go ahead and add some padding. Once I add that, I can just place my hamburger menu right here on the top left. I've renamed my hamburger menu icon. Now right below this is where I would like to create my menu. And in this case, I'm trying to create a two-level navigation menu. And I would like the height of my menu items to be flexible. So I'll go to gallery and insert a blank flexible gallery. I will place this gallery right below my hamburger menu icon and on the left-hand side. And just to ensure it is sitting right below the hamburger menu icon, the Y property for this gallery, I will set this to the hamburger menu icon dot height so that it sits exactly below this. Now, in order for my gallery to take the entire remaining height of my component, which can be increased or decreased by the user who adds this component to the screen, for the gallery, for the height property, I will set this to parent.height. That is the height of its parent control, which is the component, minus the hamburger menu icon dot height. So now this will sit exactly below the hamburger menu icon and take the remaining real estate that's available in my component. I will also go ahead and rename my gallery to gal menu. Now for this gallery, what I would like to do is I would like to add the shape. If the user is on the selected screen, would like to place an icon, and then I will go ahead and place some labeled text. So for this, I will go ahead and create a new input property first for the component. I will call this menu items, input property, and the data type would be table, and I will go ahead and click create. Now, if I look at this property in the formula bar, I'm going to change the schema of the records in this table. So first thing what I need is I need the text. I'm going to call it menu label. That's what I'm going to call this. And let's say, just as an example, I'm going to just place text here called home. Next, I need the icon of the menu. So I'm going to call this menu icon. And in PowerApps, we have the icon suite. So if I do icon dot, I can pick from any of the available icons in PowerApps. In this case, I'll just pick the home icon. Next, I need the screen where we have to navigate to. So I'm going to call this menu screen navigate. That means where do you want to navigate to if the user clicks on this menu item. And for that, because I'm in a component, I don't have the context of the screens here. I'm going to leverage app.activeScreen so that this property of the record relates to a screen type. I will also add something known as menu ID. If I would like to order the items in my gallery, I can take the advantage of this property. Now that I'm done with creating one, let's say I go ahead and I'll just add a couple more records in here. Again, I'm just adding some sample data. I'll create one for currency, menu item number 2, and then create one for document menu item number 3. So that's the default input that's going to be applied whenever this component is added to a screen. Of course, the user can send their own data as part of this input property, which would change the behavior of the menu. Now for this gallery control, I will go ahead and edit the gallery. And in this, I'm going to add my controls. My first control will be the shape. And in the icons itself, I will go ahead and pick the rectangle shape, place it on the top left, shrink the width, and also go ahead, just shrink the height and just place it right here. Next, I will go ahead and insert an icon again because I want to show the icon associated with the menu item. And I can pick anything for now because I'm going to change this and make it dynamic. So I'm just going to pick the first icon, place it right next to this, reduce the width. And if required, I can even add some padding in here. Okay, so I have just gone ahead and added some padding to my menu item and placed it right next to this rectangle shape. The next control I would like to add is a label control to show the text of my menu. Just going to place it right here. We'll change the font weight to light, maybe change the font size to 14 and place it right here. Set auto height to true. For the gallery items property, we will read the items property from the menu component, that's menu left nav, dot the property that we created called menu items, which is that tabular data. Now in this, for the label text, I already have a property called menu label. For the icon that I added right here, if we go to the icon property, I'm going to replace this with this item dot menu icon. So this is going to place that icon that I'm passing as part of that table. For the rectangle shape, set the visible property to if this item dot menu screen navigate. That means the screen information that we have provided is equal to app dot active screen. If the current screen of the app where the user is on is equal to any of these items on the menu, then go ahead and show this rectangle shape. I will just rename my controls as well. So I've just gone ahead and renamed my controls. Next, what I would like to add is when the user selects an item, I would like to go ahead and navigate the user to that respective screen. So for that, what I will do is go ahead and insert a button. I'm going to call this BTN click. That means this is what the user will click. And this button, for the X property, I will set it to 0, so leftmost. Y property, I will set it to 0. The width will be equal to parent dot template width. That is the full width of the gallery. And the height would be equal to, in this case, the label menu, which is LBL menu control right here, dot height plus LBL menu, the Y property. So it's going to basically cover this entire item. We will go ahead and change the fill property to transparent. We will change the hover fill property to transparent. And we will change the pressed fill property to transparent. So basically, this button is placed over all of these controls. And now if I just press the Alt key, you will note that I get this indicator that I can click this entire record. Now this button needs to be placed right at the top of these controls. So if it's not, ensure that you're reordering this and placing this right on the top. For this button click on the onSelect property, we will go ahead and change this to navigate. That is navigate the user to this item dot menu screen navigate. That's the information that we are providing. So menu screen navigate, and then I can even pick any of the transitions. I'll pick the cover transition for now and just go ahead and close my navigate function. Also ensure that for the button control, the text is set to empty. When the user clicks on the hamburger menu, only then I would like to show this gallery. Otherwise, I would like to hide this gallery. So when this user selects this icon, what we need to do is we will set a variable called show menu. We will set this to not of show menu. That means if this value is true, it will become false. If it is false, it will become true. For my menu control, I will go ahead and insert another property called expand menu. That is, do you want this menu to be expanded from default, yes or no? It will be an input property. We will set this to type Boolean, And whenever this value changes, I will also go ahead and raise an on reset event. I'll click create. That creates this new property. By default, it's set to true. Let's say I set this to false for now. And whenever this value is set or changes, we are raising the on reset event. So for the component, on the on reset function, we will go ahead and set that variable that I'm setting called show menu to the value that's coming as part of the input property, which is my left nav menu dot expand menu. For the gallery control, we have the visible property, and I'm going to set the visible property of the gallery control now to that variable, which is show menu. Now, if I click on Alt, you see I don't see it. If I click on it, I will start seeing the gallery items. So it's like a show hide feature that we've added right here. The colors of all the items of this gallery are based on the theme color. And what's the theme? That's the theme of my app. Currently it's blue, so everything's being set to that blue color. But if you want to change that, you can even go ahead and do that. So for example, what you can do is, once again, for the component, we can go ahead and add a property, and we can call this like our menu color. And this would be an input property of type color, and we will go ahead and create this property. By default, it just sets it to blank, but let's say I would like to keep the default color as purple. For my label control, if I head over to the color property of the text, I can change this now to my left nav menu dot menu color. I can do the same thing for the icon as well. I can change the color to the color of the input property. And same thing can be done for the shape as well. I can change the fill property of the shape. For the main hamburger menu icon, I will create a separate property. So hamburger menu color. And once again, I will create property of type color. And let's say in this case, I would like to keep this as blue, just as an example. And for this, once again, for the color property, we will change this to the menu dot hamburger menu color. So now the color changes depending upon the property that we are passing in. And for the gallery control also, I can add a background shade if I would like to have that. So for my gallery, there is a property called fill. So for that, again, what we can do is set another property, call this my menu background color. Type would be color. And for this, I will choosing light gray for now. You can go ahead and even put your RGBA color code in right here. And then for the gallery, if I go to the fill property, I can change this to the menu left nav dot the background color of the menu. Of course, for any of the color-based properties, you can even go and pick any shade. So I can even plug in any color code value of my choice. In this case, gone ahead with a lighter shade of gray. So you can change many of the aspects by sending property values in. If you would like to change the size, the font size, you can do all of that. We are leveraging icons right here. And PowerApps has a rich set of icons that you can choose from, but you have to use these icons for the menu. But if this is not working for you, you can even change this with the image control. And right here, you can even pass an image, or you can even leverage SVGs. So you can customize this based on your needs. So the next thing which is important to understand, and for that, in my screens, I will just go ahead and add a very simple screen. So let's say I go ahead and add this email screen. So I'm just leveraging one of the templates right here. So that will create the screen based on the template. In here, when I go and add my menu component, the first thing if you observe is it adds it right at the bottom. Ensure that they are reordering this and bringing this right to the front. So it sits right on the top of all the controls. If I preview this app, this is clickable. Otherwise, this is going to sit behind the other controls and it won't be clickable. For my menu control, so if I preview this, and let's say I keep the menu open for now. As I change the width, right, the gallery width is also changing. I can change the height, and that's because we wrote all those formulas in there. Now, problem is that when the menu is closed, so let's say in my case, I know that this is how wide I want my menu. I am in the mobile experience right now, so maybe this is the max width I would like to open this menu for. But if I close this, right, still the menu is going to take that entire width. What's the problem? Well, if I preview the app, observe right here, I can't click. See, the menu is actually sitting on top of it. I can't even click. This control is actually blocking other controls from getting clicked. Ideally, when the menu is closed, I would like the width of the menu to only be this much. That's it. I would not want to lose a lot of real estate on my screen, but when the user clicks on this, in that case, I would like to open the entire menu, and that's okay if other things get hidden behind my menu control in this case. Let's go back to our component. It's important to understand that for the gallery control, if we look at the width property, right, it's hard-coded. It's hard-coded to 640. Ideally, the width of the gallery should be the parent.width. That is the width of the component itself. But the width of the component, which right now is 640 and it can change when I add it to the screen, the problem is the component width will not be fluid. It won't change depending on whether the menu is open or not. But that's something that I would like to perform. And for that, what you would have to do is you will have to create a custom property. And I'm going to call this my menu width, type output, and I will make this a number control, and I'll click create. Okay, so I have just created a custom property now called menu width. And what I would like to do for this property is if show menu, which is that variable I'm using in my component to find out whether the component menu is open or not. If it is open, that is if it is true, in that case, I would want this to go ahead and have a specific width, right? Now, what's the width of the menu is open? I would want to make that dynamic as well, right? I don't want to hard code and say, okay, it should be 400, for example. And what if the menu is closed? In that case, I want the width to just be the width of this hamburger menu icon. So for that, I can say hamburger menu icon dot width. And for my component, if I head over to the width property, this should be my component itself dot that output property, which is menu width. Now, if I press the Alt key, if I click this, you see how the component changes its width. It's changing the width to the width of the hamburger menu icon. When I click on this, it's opening up to 400. Now, 400 is just a number that I plugged in, but I would like this to also be configurable by the user. So for that, simple, I'll create another property, set menu width. So I'm giving the user the option to set the menu width. And this would be an input property of type number. And once I create this, I will set the default, let's say in this case, to 300, and then go back to that output property here and replace the hard-coded 400 with the input property that I just created, which is set menu width. And now if you observe, if I click, it's setting it to 300 because that's my set menu width. And if I click on this, it's going to close. Now if I head back to my screen and let me just re-add this component. Now I'm going to change the height of my component. How do I change the height? Very easy. I'll change the height to make this also fluid. Parent.height, that's the height of my screen. So it goes full height. Now if I preview the app, if I click on this, you see how it opens the menu. What's the problem? The menu is sitting right at the bottom. I need to change this and bring it right to the top. Now if I preview the app, check this out. The menu is only taking this much real estate. So the user is now free to click on any of these items. Maybe the width is too much for my screen. I don't need this much width for the menu. Well, let's go and change it now. It's configurable. Maybe I just need 200 pixels. That's good enough for me. Now if I preview this, check this out. Okay, the look and feel doesn't match the look and feel of my app. No problem. Let's select this. What's the hamburger menu color? Well, I will pick from the theme of my app. Maybe I will make it white because it sits well in this background. The menu color, well, let's select this and make it blue. There you go. It's matching the theme of my app pretty well now. And if I preview this, there you go. This is my left-hand navigation menu. For my menu control, I would like to drive the menu items based on my app. And in this case, let's assume my app has these 3 screens. Now, this is a component, so I don't have the app object and I cannot use the app.onStart function. That's ideally where you should be creating your menu. Because I don't have that, I will just go ahead and add a very simple button control. And when the user selects this button, I will go ahead and create my menu on the fly. Now, the structure of the menu looks like this. So I'm going to copy it and I'm going to create a collection. I'm going to call this call menu and I am going to just place the structure right here. So this is what it looks like, but my app is different. I want my first label to be called home. I would like to use the icon home, and my screen here, I have to give the reference of my screen. What's my screen reference? It's the home screen. Okay, what's next? Next up is my success screen. So what do I need to do? I'm going to change this to success, and let's say I use the icon check, and this now will be replaced with my success screen. Okay, and what's the third one? People picker. So I'm going to call this my person type screen, and this would be the icon person, and this will be replaced with my people screen. And I have the IDs of my menu. Now, we didn't yet code the ordering of the menu items, but let's say if this is the first item that should show up, this is the third one, and this is the second one, maybe I would like to change the order. Let's just do this for now and go ahead and click this button. So if I go to collections, I can see this collection loaded right here. I can leverage this collection to drive the items of my menu. So instead of the default values, I'm going to use my collection. And now you can see that my menu is showing up correctly. Also, if I preview this, check this out. It's accurately showing that I'm on the home screen, and that's why it's highlighting the home screen. If I click on success, it will take me to the success screen. Now I want to just replicate the menu. All I have to do is just copy it, go to my success screen and paste it. Go to my people screen and paste it. Just make sure it starts from the left. Okay, now for my success screen, I don't have that heading on the top, so I don't even see the hamburger menu. That's because of the background color. Well, I can change it. I can go right here, maybe make it blue for this screen. Now back to my home screen, preview, click on success, my success screen. See, it's highlighting it, person. Now, when I move to my different screens, you will notice that my menu retains its position based on what was the value in that screen. That's because the variables that you create in a component are maintained for that instance of that component. If when I navigate to a different screen, I would like to ensure that the menu remains closed, in that case, I would have to do some work in my app again. So here is my home screen left navigation menu. We have this property that we created called expand menu, and by default this is false, so that's why the first time it's closed. But I would like to close the menu every time the user navigates to a screen. So for that, what you can do is this. On each of those screens, on the onVisible property, all I need to do is just set a variable. So I'm just creating a variable, setting it to true, and then immediately setting that variable to false. So I'm just changing the value of that variable whenever the user comes to a screen. And I just have to repeat this on all the other screens. Now for the menu, for the expand menu property, I will use that variable, which is variable show menu. Now if I go to a particular screen, the menu will be closed every time. The user has to open it and move to the different screen. So that's how I can keep the menu closed as the user navigates from one screen to another. Now I would like to add a second layer to my menu. That is, I would like to create a gallery within a gallery. Now this main gallery already does all of the work, right? And we literally just want to repeat this inside the same gallery. So all we have to do here is just go ahead and copy this and select any of the controls within this gallery and just right click and paste. And just like that, this adds a gallery within a gallery. And I want to rename this to gal sub menu. Okay, so this is going to be my sub menu. Now the sub menu needs to be placed a little away from the left hand side. So the X property, which is 0. So let's say I'm going to change this to 20. So it just moves the position of this gallery 20 pixels from the left. Of course, the width of this gallery, which is parent.width, which is in this case your gal menu, it will have to be parent.width minus whatever offset you just set for the X property. So check this out now. This gallery is sitting exactly right here. Now, one thing that we've not yet taken care of is the label control. We've taken care of heights, widths of all controls, but for the label control, like you see this one, for the main gallery itself, this is, the width is 560. We want to change this. We want to change this to parent.template width. That is whatever is the width of its parent, which is the main gallery in this case, minus menu icon in this case, which is ICO menu.width minus the shape control that I added there, dot width. So now this sits exactly based on the real estate that's available. So I've just gone ahead and renamed my controls. If I open the structure of my menu items, I want to create submenu right here. So what we could do is this. I can add another property called submenu, wherein the user can define the submenu. And that would be very similar to my menu. So I can again create a table, and the structure of this table can be exactly like the structure of my menu. So I'm just going to place it right here. And of course, I can have the numbering right here as well. So within home, I created a currency submenu. And I can do this for every menu item. Let's say for this one, I don't want a submenu. Well, in that case, just create an empty table. Just keep the table blank. Don't add any data. And let's say I want to add multiple submenu items. You can even go ahead and do that. So here's one, here's two. Now that I have this new submenu property, for my submenu gallery, for the items property, I will change this to this item dot my submenu. And now this is going to be driven based on my submenu. Now next, for my submenu gallery, I will set the template size of my sub gallery to the following. Count rows. So how many rows do I have? Because this is going to be dynamic, right? So count rows of this item dot submenu. So I don't know how many records are going to be there. So I'm going to count it and multiply it by 50. And I will do exactly the same thing in the height property of my gallery as well. Now, if I head back to any of my screens and let's say I open this, and if I preview this app, observe that I'm getting this little scroll bar experience here. That's probably because I need a little bit more real estate. So instead of multiplying it by 50, maybe I'm going to change this to 55. Now, if I head back to my screen, I don't see that issue right here. So here's my menu and these are my submenus. This was the collection that I was creating. Now right here I have to change, right? I have to add submenus as well. I have to have that attribute. If I don't need submenus, all I need to do is submenu and an empty table. And I can do the same thing here. I can do the same thing here. Reload the collection. And then for my menu control, just ensure that the menu items are coming from the collection. So now if I preview my app, this is going to work as normal. Here is my success screen and here is my person screen. So that's a single level navigation menu. Now, if I would like to change the menu and have those subcategories right here, this is where I would go about defining that. So I have my home screen. I would like to keep it that way. Now, maybe I would want my people screen and this would be icon.person. It's an icon for that. And the submenu here needs to have the success screen. So for that, in the submenu, I will create this table. And right here, I'm going to call this my success screen. And this would be icon.check. And this would be my success screen. My first menu has no submenus. My second one has one submenu called success. Maybe I would like to add another one. Maybe I would like to add the calendar. Just go and do this. Can add another one right here. Like this one, this two. And this will take to my cal screen. And this could be using the calendar icon. Now, if I preview this app, as you can see right here, I have my submenu items created right here. And if I select any of these, it will take me to that screen. If you would like to download this menu that I just built on the fly, I will make it available on my GitHub repo, the link to which is in the description for this video, so do check it out. Now, once I'm done with building my menu, I will go to save and save this component library first. So I've just saved this, and of course it's the first time I'm saving the app, so it also publishes this. Any further change that you make to this component library, you would have to republish it. Now I'll go to some of my apps that I have built and let's see how we can change it. So one of the apps I have here is my form control app. So let's open this app. And this one is built with the tablet experience in mind. I will also try and open one with the phone experience. So here's the second one, which is my cascading drop-downs help desk app. So I'm opening up two applications now, and let's see how we can add that left-hand navigation menu to this. In this app, I have three simple screens: my home screen, my form screen, and my success screen. Right here, I have my logo that I've placed right here on the left. Now, because my menu is going to sit here, I know that I need that little bit of real estate. I'm just going to remove my logo from this app. And of course, I can reposition it, place it elsewhere as well. That's not a problem. How do I add that component here? Because it's a component library, I don't have to go to components. I can go to the plus icon here, go to get more components. This will list out all the component libraries. Here is my Power 365 library right here. I'm going to pick my menu and click import, and this will now import menu. Now, once that's done, here I am on my home screen. If I would like to add that component, I just have to go to library components here, click plus, go to library components and add this menu. And now, once I add it, first thing, I'm going to move this right at the top. Second, the height, I'm going to make it flexible, so it'll be parent.height. Next, I need the colors to match. So for the hamburger menu, I'm going to set this to white, so it strikes out. And for the menu color, I'm going to stick to the brand of my app, which is kind of this reddish color. So I'm just going to pick this. Remember the variable that I showcased in my library. Whenever I visit a specific screen, I'm setting this variable. So I'm going to do that same thing on my screen. So on visible, I'm going to add this, and I got to do this for every screen. So I've just done it for all the screens. The menu that I was creating right here on the fly, I'm going to copy that code, go to my app, and this time I have the app on start. This is where I can place things. So right here, I will go ahead and build that menu on the fly. Now, of course, there's going to be some errors because my screen names are different here. So I want the home screen, so that's good. I don't want any sub menu in this case. I'm just going to keep it simple. Then I need a form screen, so I'm going to call this form. And I'm going to make this my information icon, and this one is going to point over to my form screen. Once again, no sub menus in my case here, so I'm just going to keep this empty. And finally, I have my success screen, so I'm going to call this success. That's about it. I'm going to just run this. And now for my menu component that I added to this app, all I have to do is for the menu items, put the collection menu. And for this expand menu, just use that variable. Configure it for one screen like I did just now. Now all I have to do is just copy this, go to a different screen, paste it, position it on the left. Once again, copy, paste, position. That's it. Now if I go back to my home screen and preview the app, and here is my menu. If I go to form, this will take me to the form screen. If I go to success, this will take me to the success screen. And here, back to the home screen. So that's how easy it is for me to add that menu right here. And if this width is too much for me, in my case, at least in this scenario, I think this menu has too much width. Maybe just change it to 250 because I know that that's the real estate that is good enough in my case when the menu opens up. Now, let's take an example of another app here. Again, I have a home screen, I have a ticket screen, a success screen, and a cascading drop-down screen. I have 4 screens in this case. Once again, my steps are going to be the same. I will just go ahead, import the component. So my component is now getting imported right here in this app. Once I have my component here, I will just go ahead and add it to my home screen, set its height property to parent.height to make it flexible and responsive, and ensure that it's sitting right at the top. These are certain steps that I would have to take every time I'm configuring my menu for the first time at least. For all of my screens on visible, we'll go ahead and set this variable. On the app on start, I'm going to go ahead and create my menu. For the ticket screen, I need a submenu, and that would be the cascading screen. Just going to run this. Here I'm on the home screen, I'm on the ticket screen, moving over to the cascading screen, and moving over to the success screen. So that's how easily you can add a 2-level navigation menu to your apps. If you enjoyed this video, then do like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And thank you so much for watching.